carried it to the second half. And it's kind of hard to just say, well, it's this, or just that. But the truth is, Hannah, West Virginia has been more physical in this game, and Pitt just has no answer for them.
I will say one thing, Josh, about it's hard to pinpoint. One thing I am a little bit concerned about with Pitt is the game plan coming into this one against West Virginia. Josh, we talked about Pitt from the first few games, and we talked about wanting to see Hammond Jr. more and establishing the run. But if you were watching film, you'd think they went back and watched that Penn State-West Virginia game, right, where Drew Aller threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And 2 of the best running backs in college football right now that Penn State has, neither of them hit the 100-yard rushing mark. West Virginia was good at stopping the run. Now, they knew they needed to do that against Penn State, but if I'm Pitt, I'm not trying to establish Rodney Hammond Jr. for the first 5 plays of the game. I'm trying to air the ball out a little bit and test the secondary of the Mountaineers, and that wasn't happening, and that's a big question mark for me. I think that's the glaring signs of we don't trust Phil Jurkovec. But then why is Veillard not getting his shot? I'm so confused why Jurkovec is still the guy they're going with. I've seen Veillard play when he was at Penn State, and he did a decent job. He was behind some really great quarterbacks like Trace McSorley, Sean Clifford. So and obviously now Drew Aller was in there, so he was pushed out. But this is a guy that I think you should at least let try to throw the ball at this point, see what you have in a backup. Am I wrong? Am I crazy, Josh?
I don't think you're crazy at all. And I'm glad you pointed out how successful Penn State's passing offense was against West Virginia, because if you hadn't mentioned Penn State, I was going to mention another team that had somewhat success throwing the ball deep against West Virginia. That was Duquesne last week, their first touchdown of the game.
Look at our alma maters, Josh.
Our alma maters just cashing in, throwing the ball deep. But it does speak to a larger point that West Virginia was a little bit vulnerable against the deep ball, and that's something Pitt really either they're not really geared toward doing it or they just don't want to do it, but it's just something that is just not happening, and they're just not moving in that direction.